Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, where you are in the world. My name is Jade, and this is How to App on iOS. And I'm here to optimize your performance. Today we're going to be looking at FabFilter's Saturn 2. Ooh, yeah, good stuff. How do you do, everyone? I hope you're all doing well. If you're watching over there on Facebook in that horrible, miserable little social network, well, you can leave a comment. Welcome to the show, and we will see it over here at youtube.com/Jade Starr. Always feel free to pop over and join us here live in the chat if you feel like you're all alone there, because not many people watch there. You know what I'm saying? Even though I have a crap ton of friends, not many of you watch, do you? You can also catch up on the show live from howtoapponIOS.com every day, where you can catch up on playlists and lots of other cool stuff. That has been, 133 episodes done. We're up to 134 right now, so that's all good and dandy. Say hello to folks in the chat. I know, I think Danny Broderick is here, Tom Rochelle, Cold Acre, Gary Hubbs, Panda Get, my favorite, Doctor's Orders, and SM Borthwick, Benedict Stewart. Doctor's Orders gets his effect now. How cool is that? Over time, folks, you'll all get your own effect, I promise. Ed Zelensky. Scrolling down, Deep Gravity, how are you, my friend? Deep Gravity's an awesome singer, by the way. Scott, g'day. Bubba, one of my cool admins, along with Cold Acre and Pete Johns. G'day, Pete Johns. Speaking of the man, there is the man with the plan, the man who's lost that love feeling. Whoa, that love and feeling. If you haven't caught up on that, jump over to Pete's channel and check out his latest premiere video, where yesterday, on the fly, Pete did a Patreon stream, and me and Tom Rochelle jumped in and did a live virtual jam, and I added drums and Tom added vocals to Pete's new crazy cover of You've Lost That Love and Feeling. So do that. It's really cool. It's such an interesting thing involved in. And yesterday I did a live stream working on utensils material for this community horror film project that we're going to get started very, very soon, which I'll tell you a little bit more about in a second. But see, after that, even yesterday, my day went to shit because I had an interaction with Apple, and I'd like to tell you about it now over this next 3 short pantomime that I've created. Enjoy, folks. I received an email from Apple saying, "You purchased a new M1 Mac Mini, and we'd like to give you a 3-month free subscription to Apple Arcade for your purchase." Well, I was very excited, wasn't I? So I clicked on the link, and I thought, yes, please. Yes, please. But when I went to the link, it didn't work. And I signed up, and they charged me $7.99. Well, to say I was upset was an understatement. So I contacted their live chat, and I said, "You charged me $7.99 on a free offer." And they said, "We'll refund you the money. All will be okay. And here's a redemption code to give you your 3-month offer." And I was like, thank you, thank you, thank you. I was so happy. And I put in my redemption code, and it redeemed. And I got 3 free months. And then I went back to the chat, and the consultant said, "But don't enter the redemption code until you get your refund." I said, "Well, it's a little bit late for that, isn't it?" And we both said, "Oh no, what are we going to do?" And the consultant said, "Don't worry. Once you get your refund, if your subscription gets cancelled, contact us back and we'll sort it out, because we love you." famous last words. So the next day came around, and I got my refund, and my subscription was cancelled. And I contacted Apple. And they said, here's another redemption code, and I tried to enter it. But it didn't work! And I was so angry. I contacted them back and I said, what's the meaning of this? Why doesn't it work? And the woman, who had the same name as me, Jade, said, just log out of your iCloud account. And I thought, that's a bit odd. What would that do? I used to work at Apple. That wouldn't do anything, you silly woman. But I stupidly did it, didn't I? And all of my stuff was removed from my phone, and you know what? When I logged back in, the code still didn't work. And then she said, oh, it's because you've already had too many subscriptions. So we can't help you anymore. Thank you. Goodbye. And I was left with a phone with nothing on it, and all my photos didn't come back, and I had to restore from a backup, which took 24 hours. The moral of the story: nothing is for free! Anyway, that's all a true story. So I hope you enjoyed that stupid pantomime, and I could have got really angry about that, but I thought, let's just have a bit of fun with it. It was a really shit experience, Apple. Clean your shit up, man. So every time I look at Arcade now in my iTunes, I just think, fuck you. I spent $1,000 with you pricks. You can't even give me 3 months of fucking Apple Arcade worth $20. Anyway, let's get on with it. So what I want to play you next is, let me just do a bit of ASMR. Thank you for indulging me my silliness there. I was talking to Pete yesterday and I thought I could be really angry about this, but the last time I did that, it kind of put a negative feeling on the show. So why not make fun of it? You know, whatever. These things happen. And as Pete said, you can't really blame the whole company on somebody's incompetence, you know, just because she was the marketing manager of promotions. Thanks, Jade. So we've got coming up, possibly next week, we're going to kick off this community utensils project. Really excited about this. Yesterday I did a Patreon 2-hour live stream starting to put together the bass songs for this. And how it's going to work is there's 6 tracks, and I've kind of written a very loose script around this movie. So think of like Evil Dead. Your typical horror movie starts off, the first track, Scene 1, bunch of teenagers get in a car, go for a drive to a shack in the woods. Second song, scene is teenagers arrive at haunted shack. Third scene, teenagers discover creepy item that unleashes evil creature set out to kill them. Fourth track is all about evil creature set out to kill them. And fifth track is evil creature killing them one by one. And sixth track is the end of evil creature and the hero killing them. So they are the 6 tracks. I'm going to do some artwork around it to try and give you all a bit of inspiration. And what will happen is I'll finish these 6 tracks, and over a few weeks I'll be sending these tracks out to anybody who wants to get involved. And you can add a track. That's the only rule. You add 1 track to it, send it back. Then I'll send it on to somebody else and they add 1 track. And we can just keep sending all the 6 tracks out crisscross to everybody, if you get what I'm saying. And by the end of it, we should have an album, and you can all play a part in the Utensils horror film soundtrack album. So I've been working on a couple of ideas for it, as I said yesterday. And so, you know, these are very short pieces, so we'll just show you some of them. I forget this one. This is track 2. So this is arriving at the this is a part of arriving at the creepy house. So this has got like a few things in it. So it's got this Mononoke track in it. I actually recorded too my Indian healing drum. So I'm bashing that along with me doing some Om, Om, Om. So that's just a part of that, and these will build up. I'll build these up over the next few days. This is track 3. This is unleashing the evil creature with the said item that does so in every horror movie. Just so you get a bit of an idea of what's happening. I think it's going to be really fun. I hope you're all excited about it too. And this is number 5. So this is the creature killing everybody one by one, the chase scene. So, you know, think of the girl running with the creature chasing her and she slips over and twists her ankle kind of thing. So there you go. That's some of that. We've got that out the way. So that is coming up over the next week or so. It'll probably kick over. I think, you know, it's hard to pull off something like this in a week or so. So it'll probably run over quite a few weeks. And I'm sure we'll get it finished by January. Probably go through Christmas kind of thing. So everyone's got time to pass things back. And people aren't under the pressure because it is the festive season, apparently. Cool. So hello to anybody who's joined in the chat. Who have I missed who's just joined? Thomas Lane, welcome aboard. Good to see you. Scrolling up, did I miss anybody? I don't think so. We're all good. Cool. Russ, I don't think it does say hello to you. I can't remember my memory shit house. Deep Gravity, I said hello to you. Cool. All right. So today we are looking at the wonderful FabFilter Saturn 2. I know that's what you're all here to do. And thanks for yesterday's video too. I'm glad you all enjoyed looking at Blease's Saturator. What a cool app, yeah? Well, be prepared because this is really cool too. And it's a Shattering Distortion app as well. This is on the higher end of the price scale. So remember that. Now, it was on sale during the Black Friday, Cyber Monday sales, but it has gone back up. As I said, it is expensive, so I don't know if appslice.co has fixed their prices yet, but it says $26.99 here. Now, just so you know, when you go to appslice.co, what it shows you here is the recent price changes, so you get an idea of when price changes do happen. And, you know, this isn't a given. Never take this as a given, but you can always, now just remember, FabFilter Saturn's hasn't been out for a year yet, so we haven't been to a December. But if you look at other apps on here, you'll notice most of the apps, if you notice here, go on sale around December 31st to December 18 kind of thing, because Apple shut down the App Store over Christmas. So everybody gets their little sales in as well for those 2 weeks over Christmas that the App Store's actually closed. I think it's 2 weeks, or maybe it's only 1 week these days because Apple have got greedy. Who knows? So I have a feeling it'll drop in price again. So, you know, be prepared. Pete says, a question for app buyers. Would you prefer if apps were just slightly cheaper all the time, or do you like the sales? Drop a comment in the chat. Let us know. My opinion on that, look, the sales are fantastic. I do check them every day. More so just for ones that I want that are out of my price range. Okay. So for things that are, you know, super, like up to $5, they don't hurt. They hurt when you're buying a lot of them, for me personally. But you know, I'm all about supporting developers here too. I'm always super thankful when devs give me codes to give away and to review, because I'm going to use them myself. I'm always going to use them. But when you compare them to Mac and PC versions of virtually the same thing, we are getting bargains. I mean, then almost always the exact same app that you would get on Mac or PC. And a lot of those are, you know, between $100 to $400, and we get them at the most for what, $60, $50. So unless you're talking about guitar apps, you know, with all the plugins and all the add-ons, you're looking at $100 for some of those. But then you go and look at the PC Mac versions again, and if you buy all the add-ons there, you're looking at $400. So we still are pretty lucky. So, you know, and I started this show to, as I say, get up in the morning, have something to do, but mainly to support the amazing app creators who, without them, I wouldn't be like making so much awesome music. You know, they just continue to shine and create amazing, cool stuff. So, and they deserve to have a spotlight shone on them and be supported, because they are the lifeblood of our musical scene here on our glass slabs that we play on. Cool. All right, so let's jump in and have a look at Saturn 2. And so how I'm going to look at this today, I'm going to run through a few different things. We're going to play a bit of guitar on it. We're going to add some vocals to it like yesterday, and it's going to be fucking crazy shit. And then I'm going to, instead of like, you know, just doing like drums or adding something like that, then I'm going to just add a very simple sine wave, or just a very simple sine, like, excuse me, a chord sign or something like that, and just show you what this thing can do to just something very plain and basic. I think that's the best way to show this off. How you going, Joshua? Good to see you. So let's we'll do this in AUM today, and just for something a little bit different. Now let's jump over full screen so you can see what's going on nice and clearly. So what we'll do up here, we'll go to hardware input as our channel, and we'll bring in our right channel, which is channel 2 on my Steinberg UR22. And I think I may need to, do I need to plug it in? Because I didn't prepare this earlier, because I'm a bit slack, I think. Is that the right cord? There it is. Oh man, I've got so many leads everywhere because I've been working a fair bit of music while I'm not doing this. So, do we have sound on my guitar? It doesn't look like it. Have I got the right lead? Yes, I've got the right lead. That's interesting. Oh, there we are. So we do have sound. Cool. Let's chunk it up a bit in the volume department. Just make sure I'm in tune, because my room, famously, for no reason, puts my guitar out of tune because it's so hot in here. Living on a 3rd story of an apartment does great things to all your guitars. There we go. So we've got some guitar action there. So what I'm going to do is in the effects section here, I'm just going to add in Saturn 2. There you are, Saturn 2. So let's have a look at this thing and show you what it does. So it's quite complex, but I'm going to try and explain it to you and make it as simple as I possibly can. All right, that is the whole look here. So think of a multi-band EQ. Okay, that's the whole idea of this thing. It's like it's a distortion, saturator, LFO, but it's like a set in a multi-band EQ. Okay, so now at the moment, this is just one solid EQ, so there's no bands being added to this at all. Okay, now if I want to add bands, you can add up to 5, and there's a little plus up the top here, and every time I click it, it adds a brand new band, right? So I'm just clicking the plus along the top here, and you can see now I have all these bands. So think of it exactly like an EQ. So your bass down here, your mids and your highs. So just think of it like that. And what you can do with each of these bands, you can add, keep going. You can add separate effects. So as I click between them, you'll see this little panel down here at the bottom. This moves every time I go across to a brand new one. And you can set different effects in each of these bands, right? So you could have a distortion in one, you could have like a warm tape, a saturator in the other, you could have an LFO going in the other one. So you're starting to get your mind clicking there. Really, really interesting stuff you can do with this. So, and just to get rid of all the bands, and we'll do that, you just click the X on the little control here, and they all disappear. So we'll start off just with this single band here, and we'll pop up to the top here where all of our presets are. So you've got like color, drive, guitar, lo-fi, effects, clean, and you can save settings as well. But we're going to jump straight into guitar because I've got the guitar in my hand. And in here you've got amps. So you've got a whole bunch of amp settings, and you've got underneath that some effects. So silicon fuzz, so you got, it's all made for guitar. So there's a wah in there even, really cool. So we'll jump into amps, and I'm just going to go with, let's go with a cranked 70 stack straight away. Cool, yeah? Straight off the bat. Well, what else we got in there? Let's jump to the next one. So I'm just going to hit the arrow. Oops, we'll go up here. Dynamic Fender with the 7. Cool. Skip just go through these guitar sounds. So these are what you're getting, just absolutely stock stuff. And don't worry about the stuff down the bottom. We'll run through all that at the same time, so we'll get to that stuff. So we got a funky thing here. Cool. What else we got here? Lead Me the Way, yeah? So compared to like all these guitar stuff, all these guitar effects, this is actually, so we've got an overdrive here. Now you'll see there's these bands across here, right? So we'll get to these. We'll show you these in the LFO, basically. I'm just going to show you these guitar sounds. So we've got a power overdrive. Now we've got out of those guitar sounds. So I'm just, God, I keep grabbing the wrong mouse today instead of my Magic Keyboard. So you got drive stuff, but we'll go these amps and just check out those top ones which I missed back in the day-o. Don't want to get a copyright. What else do we have? Just flick through. There's a couple more there. So we'll go back to the original one that I had up on the screen. You know what? I'm going to use my finger instead of the mouse. So, oops. Let's go back to this stack. Okie dokie. Now let's just jump over here and remove that. You know what? We won't do that. We'll go back here and bring that back in. Okay, so I'll turn this down for a second. So let's have a look at this panel here. You know what? Before we do that, we'll come back to it. Just going to throw my guitar down so you can see you've got distortion in there. So we've covered a bit of distortion. Now that we've got a mic here as well, I want to show you this too. Let's go hardware, microphone. Hey. Now think about those times you've wanted to use a distorted vocal and you wanted to add a distortion to the vocal, and all you've gotten is feedback, and it's created havoc, and all you've wanted to do was sound like Marilyn Manson, right? With no feedback. It's fantastic for doing this with vocals. Listen to this kind of shit. Wow, hey, yeah, wow, wow. Really cool with vocals, these distortion sounds. And, you know, there's no feedback there. You can add some feedback because you've got a little feedback knob. See, I'm turning a little panel there so I can bring up some feedback. But who wants feedback? You're doing vocals. Wow. So if you flick through them, you can get all kinds of different distortions. Different kinds of distortion. Oh, yeah. Exterminate, kill the doctor. Pretty cool, yeah? What else we got here? So this is a little crunch here. Make sure these sounds are up. Yo! Hey! Wow! Wow! Whoa, yeah! I'm the man in the box. Shove my brains in shit. Won't you come and save me? Won't you save me? Yeah. So we'll go back. We've got some drive stuff here as well. So let's jump in the guitar and hit these effects here. Hey. Whoa, my. Whoa. Yeah. Whoa. Cool, so we've done a demo of that. So you've seen now some pretty crazy distortion on the vocals. Now, I really love that about this. I struggled for so long to find a distortion that works on vocals, man, without having to put a limiter on it in between bit. But you could hear there, you know, there's no limiter in this at all. So just, you know, and my favorite one, let's go back to this Cracked 70s app. Listen to that. Wow! Oh, yeah! Oh, my God! I feel like I'm coming! Oh, yeah! Absolutely nothing when you stop talking. Beautiful. Pretty impressive, yeah? We just do this. Go away. Cool. So, fantastic for vocals. And, you know, I'm sure, I don't know how people have missed this kind of thing. I'm sure people are using it. Because let's be honest, with this app, there's a lot of really prominent iOS artists, creators, artists who use this on Mac and PC who rave about Saturn 2. Saturn 1 was really popular. Saturn 2 is even better. So I know I was watching Jacob Hack about a week ago, and he was doing a live stream, and he just started talking about Saturn 2 and loaded it up, and nearly this whole live stream turned into a rant about how cool Saturn 2 is, because it is just that good. And more than anything, it can be used with anything. Again, you know, it's been used in so many different styles. As you can hear, you can add a distortion to it with guitar for vocals. And, you know, if it's not sound, I mean, it works really good with other amp modeling models. So it's really good with to create like a sound in there using Saturn 2. And then adding something like bias with a different guitar effect. Adding like... you know, let's just bring it back into the mix here and use it in combination with their other apps, especially with the app I looked at this week, like Pro R. Man. Ooh, oh, yeah. Pretty damn neat, if you ask me. So, what else can you do with it? This is what I want to show you. I want to go into the bands that you can create in it now. So we'll leave in Pro R because we'll come back to that. And I'll show you all of the features and how you can use the sequencer that's in there as well, and all of these additional knobs you can create. So buckle up. Let's do this. It's going to get a bit experimental, and you may lose your shit over this stuff. I hope so, because this is really fun. Now, we'll start off. I'm going to get rid of this microphone, and what we're going to do is I'm going to add in... what do we do? I'm going to add in Wavely here, and I'm just going to keep the basic sound that comes with it. So we'll just connect the keyboard, the on-screen keyboard. Right, so I'm just going to keep this basic sound. So what I want to do is create a chord here. So we'll click this little button over here. So when I hold down a note, it will keep ringing. So this may be annoying at first, but you'll see where I'm going with this. So let's start with that and turn it down so it's not too annoying to get into it. So that can just keep ringing. Now, what I'm going to do is just start from scratch, so we get a brand new representation of it. Saturn 2. So here we are again. Nothing's really on here. It's set to warm tape, very bland. And let's run through this little panel down here. Right, so at the front here, you've got this mix button. So this is obviously going to control the mix between the effects, everything adding in here, to the clean sound of just this chord. You've got feedback, right? So you can hear when I turn that up. It's virtually like a circle jerk of Marshall stacks, all just feedbacking off each other, right? And you've got a frequency knob, so you can hear with your ears what that's doing. It's messing with the frequency, like the button says. And then you've got a dynamics knob here. You won't hear much of this yet, of what it's doing. The big one in the middle clearly is the overdrive. So you can hear when we pump that up, the overdrive. And you can see as I drive that up, the color changes in the back to signify that this drive, that there is an effect going on there in this main channel, right? And you'll see just above, there's this thin line. See, so it's a bit hard to grab. So you've got a panning on this as well. It's really handy. And with all these buttons, you can double tap them and they'll go back to the middle. Moving along, you have a little 4-band EQ here. Wow, yeah. Look at that, man. Boom. There's the brown noise. No. And it's really powerful, this EQ, right? You can hear what it does. Now, why I'm pushing these out and showing you the extremes of what these do is you can actually automate everything in this panel that I'm showing you right now. Yeah? Really cool. And last but not least, along the end here, so you've got your level. And we all know what our level is. It's the thing that makes us go all the way up to 11. Okay, so now you understand what all that does. Really cool. Now from here, you've got where it says warm tape. This is where you can add in your effects. So much like what you saw up here in the presets, you have all of your algorithms in here. So you've got tubes, subtle tubes, tapes, so a bunch in there, your amps, so a bunch of amp sounds, saturation sounds, transformers, and lastly the effects. I'm going to jump straight in and add an effect first, because this effect here is really cool. It's called Breakdown, and it's like a pitch shifter. So listen to what it does to this. I'm going to change the drive now. Till it totally destroys it. Listen to that. Total destruction, okay? And just for shits and giggles, what I will do is, check this out. I'm just going to turn that down for a second. I'm going to quickly add another one here and go back to some vocals. Now that you've seen that lovely effect, so we'll just turn on the vocals here. We'll add back in Saturn 2. Make sure the voice is working. Hello, hello, hello. And let's do the same thing. Let's add in this breakdown. Hello. Hello, hello. And you can keep turning this till you find that harmonic. So let your mind run a little bit wild there, because that's what this app is about, letting your mind run wild. So let's come back over here. All right, so as I said, you've got like all these tubes. So you've got an amp, so if I chuck an amp on here, so give you a distortion. Just make sure our volume is back up. Saturation, heavy saturation. Let's just for now go to a nice subtle tape. So just back to this basic subtle tape, okay? Now, I can close this Can I close this keyboard off? Just let me get rid of this keyboard. We don't need to see that. We can make this a bit bigger. And I forgot to go full screen. There we go. Right, now you'll notice down the bottom here, there's an add source. Right? So if we click on that, you get a whole bunch of other things you can add. So as you can see, you've got a slider, and that's explanatory. I'll add one of those soon. An XY controller. So if you own a MIDI keyboard, you know what an XY controller is that's on your keyboard kind of thing. You've got an XLFO, an envelope generator, envelope follower, but let's add an XFO. Alright, so it adds this little box down here at the bottom. So you've got an LFO just ready to add to this. When you click on it, it opens up this little panel which shows you the wave here. And you've got all these little controls in here to make this bigger, so you can see exactly what's happening. And you see there's a little plus here. If I click the plus, it opens up a little bit more, and it adds an extra point over here. So if I add another one and another one, you start to see, then I manipulate these points. You can start doing this kind of stuff and really changing this waveform, right? But how do I get it to connect to the rest of, because it's got to connect to this. We want it to feed off this. Well, it's super easy, right? This little dot that's flashing here, you just grab it and you drag and you attach it to whatever you want it to attach to. So I want it to attach to this drive. And see what's happened underneath here? It's created this little representation of what it's now doing to the sound. So you can see what that wave file is actually creating. So if I change the drive here, let's so there's a whole lot of buttons in here too, and it looks complicated, but it's all about playing around with it. So if we just grab because this is set to free at the moment, if I just grab this half here, and where's my finger? So you can add another one, and you can add this to the feedback. Now YM, alright, now you'll start to hear stuff happen here. So you can hear this LFO start working, right? And you can actually see it, what it's doing here. And you can add multiple points. And really around with this stuff. You can add to the oh, I've already got a couple of points there. So I can add a point here so when I change, now I'm just lifting my finger up and down over this wave, and you can see it's actually altering the EQ. And at any time, you can see what points are connected just by touching here. So it all looks really small, you see, and you can use it any time. So it is kind of small to touch and stuff, but you got these little X's that you can just delete these things. Delete. So So you can get rid of these little connections anytime you want. Delete all. You can also add things like sliders. So here's a slider here. I can add this to the mix. And each time you add something on here, it adds this little representation in here. But let's try something else. So at the beginning, if you remember, let's just remove these now. So of them too, they've just got a little X. And let's go through some presets, because when I click on some presets here, what we'll show you is okay, so in this preset here, you can see it's created 5 bands. Each time I click each band, they've all got different settings attached to them. So these have old tape selected down here. So this one's got a subtle tube. You've got a subtle transformer on the end one. Tube. And as you go through, you can see it actually changes along here. We'll go through and find some of, where are we? I think, is it in, I think it's these ones. For example, this one has a has an XY controller. So when I move my finger across the XY controller, and at any time you can see where they're connected. So these are connected to the input gain, the mix, the bass, so you can see what's moving when I move it. Now, I'm not shitting in your pocket here. This is an extremely complex and amazing app. You can get lost in this thing, and it may be scary for a lot of people to look at something like this and think, holy shit, that's way too deep for me. But that's why it costs a fair bit of money, because there is a lot of depth to this. It is quite an incredible app. It's why so many people really love it, because of so much it can do. Let's just skip through some other sounds. I'll find one with a different banding here. Now, at any time, you can skip between these channels, right? And you can solo all of it. So let's just make one myself, right? I'm going to do this. I'm going to delete it, and we're going to bring in a brand new one, and let's just create a multi-band setup from scratch. Okie doke, let's do this, because we've got 10 minutes to go. So I'm going to introduce 3. So we've got 3 bands here. We'll give the middle a fair bit of width. We'll start off in the middle, and we'll solo the middle. We're going to add to this. Let's add in this smudge effect. So that can do for now. Now I'm going to mute that out. Now we're going to go over to this bass. So this heavy one over here on the end. So you can hear this is all just a low rumble. So let's pump up that low rumble with the EQ here. And I want to create a new LFO and just have this specifically going over to this drive. And we're going to change this out, and we're going to change this to, what are we going to do? Let's add a 12-step sequence. You know what? Let's not do that. Let's add a heartbeat. Okay. This low rumble heartbeat. Now let's mute this and head over to this last one. So this is where all the high end is over here. Let's add in here this XY controller. We're going to add this to the feedback. And we'll add the Y to the drive. And let's add to the mid as well. And then what we're going to do is add some saturation to this. And we'll add a new LFO. Right, so 3 very different sounds, right? And you can see the representation. See this here? How it's brrrr. You're getting a representation of what this is actually doing in this third band here. So now if I introduce the middle band, and now I introduce the first band, so you've got 3 completely different things going on here. And you can control all of them by touching these levers as volume. So you can bring them up. Yeah, pretty ridiculous kind of stuff. So think about this. I know not everybody uses the, sine waves or keyboards, but think about this kind of thing with a guitar. So using 3 different distortion sounds, and you can add, as I said at the beginning of the show, you can add more by hitting this little plus up here and create a full-on wide band. So I can add another mid-range one, but that's just incredible. So remembering too, I have this XY thing connected to the 3rd track. Just for good measure, let's throw in ProQR. And all of this can be automated through these panels down here. You can add as many as you like. And as you can see, I've split them all up amongst these 3 tracks. Visual representation of each thing that's actually happening. So, what do you think? Yeah, pretty impressive. So not only you got distortions, saturations, there's a whole virtual step sequencing thing in there for LFOs. Brrr. Man, there is a lot to unpack. And in an hour, just showing you these few things, there's no way I can represent the amount of possibilities you can do with this app. So again, it's a hefty price to pay, but if you're serious about creating a specific type of music, a specific kind of thing, that this is going to deliver many different, this is going to cover many different things you can do. So once again, distortion, all these things, guitar playing, the sky's the limit. So yesterday when I did the Bleece Saturator app, I said we're looking at 2 saturation apps over the next 2 days. And Bleece's app is what, $9, and it's, you know, does a lot of the similar stuff to what we just showed you today, compared to, you know, $30 US for this. A massive price difference there. But you know, you're looking at, and look, not taking anything away from either company, they're both fantastic apps. It doesn't matter what the price or how long the developer's been around, you've got to find the thing that works for you. So that's what this show's about, to go through these apps as best I can to give you a variety of things you can do, and you make up your own mind to before you spend your very valuable hard-earned dollars. So I hope this has been educational for you. You've got a little bit of an understanding why so many people rave about this amazing app, because it is truly damn cool. Yeah, Bleece is a sledgehammer. This is a scalpel. This is fine-tuned, very dainty, violent distortion. If violent distortion can be dainty. There you go. So thank you very much for hanging out once again with me today. Once again, thank you for all of your support. Hit the like button. That would be really cool. Pete Johns is right. We've had circle jerk and shitting in your pocket. Visualization's always disturbing here on How to App on iOS. And that's what you've come to expect, haven't you? You wouldn't be here if you didn't like my stupidity. Yes? Oh, yes, I agree. What could be worse? You know, there's only one thing. Optimizing performance. Nobody likes that. So thank you very much, and for all your support. If you want to join the Patreon, feel free to do so. Only $1 a month, or up to $25. So there's 4 tiers. Today we had a Patreon showing how I'm working on this community album we're going to start working on next week, I do believe. So feel free to do that. Check out howtoappoниos.com. Hit the like, do the subscribe, all that magical stuff, because I know what's coming. It's that time. I'm going to be warned like usual. It's the dreaded music that's telling me the show's over. It's the dreaded music that's telling me your app psychiatric session is now complete for the day or evening, wherever you are in the world. So, folks, go forth and make music. Have a wonderful day. And remember, the only optimizing that is good optimizing is optimizing the things that make you happy.